All right, let's dive into the story of Laos, a nation right in the heart of Southeast Asia. We're going to trace its incredible history, from this legendary kingdom of elephants all the way to its complex modern-day identity. So, here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start with the rise of its first great kingdom, see how it fractured under foreign pressure, walk through its chaotic fight for independence, witness a complete political revolution, and finally, see how it's opening up to the world today. Okay, first up, let's go back to the very beginning with a big migration that led to the birth of a brand new, powerful kingdom. So to really get the story of Laos, you've got to go way back to the 14th century. This is when the ancestors of the Lao people started moving south out of what's now China. They settled along the super fertile Mekong River, and this move right here laid the groundwork for everything that was to come. And this is where we get one of the coolest kingdom names ever, Lan Xang. It literally translates to the land of a million elephants. I mean, what a name! It just screams power, majesty, and this incredible connection to the natural world. So in 1353, it's official. Lan Xang is born, and they make a really big decision. Theravada Buddhism becomes the state religion. And this wasn't just some political thing. It completely shaped Lao culture, its art, its stories, how society was structured. It created an identity that, honestly, is still there today. Okay, so here's a quick look at the road ahead. You can see it's a real roller coaster, right? From this powerful, independent kingdom to being ruled by a colonial power to a hard-fought independence, then a massive revolution, and finally this slow, cautious re-entry into the world. Just keep these moments in mind as we go. But golden ages don't last forever, right? So now we get to the next chapter, where that great kingdom starts to crumble, and that opens the door for foreign powers to step in. Think of it like this. After centuries of being this one big, strong kingdom, cracks started to show. By the 1700s, internal fights just broke Lan Xang apart into smaller, weaker territories. And of course, its powerful neighbors saw an opportunity. Siam, which we now call Thailand, started grabbing pieces for itself. And then a whole new player enters the game, colonial France. In the late 1800s, the French came in, basically swept up what was left of the Lao kingdoms, drew the borders we see on a map today, and just folded the whole thing into their empire of French Indochina, right alongside Vietnam and Cambodia. Now, you'd think the end of colonial rule would mean peace. Well, not quite. Instead, it threw the brand new nation into a conflict that would last for decades and turn it into a pawn in a much, much bigger game. 1953. That's the big year. Laos is finally fully independent from France. It should have been this moment of pure hope and celebration. But that feeling, it didn't last long at all. The ink on the paper was barely even dry before new sides were being chosen. Almost immediately, the country splits in two, kicking off a brutal civil war. And this wasn't just some internal squabble. Oh no. This was the Cold War playing out in the jungles of Southeast Asia. On one side, you had the royalists, who were backed by the United States. And on the other, the Pathet Lao, a communist movement getting support from North Vietnam and the Soviets. So this incredibly destructive war, a lot of people call it the Secret War, finally comes to a dramatic end in the mid-1970s, and it's going to kick off a totally new era for the entire country. And in 1975, the Pathet Lao win. It's a total game changer. I mean, they get rid of a monarchy that had been around for 600 years. And in its place, they set up a new one-party communist state called the Lao People's Democratic Republic, which, by the way, is still its official name. This was a massive seismic shift. After the revolution, Laos basically pulled down the shutters on the rest of the world. It went into a deep period of isolation. But that couldn't last forever, and by the end of the century, things started to change. By the 1990s, things had to change. The economy was really, really struggling, so the government starts to, very carefully, crack open the door. They begin to experiment with market-style reforms, trying to bring in some foreign investment and trade. And a huge moment comes in 1997. Laos joins ASEAN. This is like joining the most important club in your neighborhood. Becoming part of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations was a massive step towards fixing relationships and getting back in sync with its neighbors, both politically and economically.
Then, in 2013, they take an even bigger step onto the world stage by joining the World Trade Organization. This move was a huge signal to everyone that Laos was serious about being part of the global economy. It was a major commitment.
So where are we now? What does Laos look like today? Well, it's complicated. It's a country of real contrasts. Politically, yep, still a one-party communist state. But economically, it's growing fast, mostly thanks to things like hydropower. But that growth comes with some serious challenges, like massive debt, poverty in rural areas, and big environmental questions. So, when you step back, you see this incredible journey. From the land of a million elephants, through colonialism, a secret war, a revolution, and now this careful opening to the world. It's really a story of survival and change, and it leaves you wondering, how does a country like this balance the tight control of its political system with all the pressures and promises of a connected, globalized world? That next chapter, it's being written right now.